Everybody needs money. That's why they call it money.
Hey! We're recording the podcast! Shut up!
Good morning to you wherever you are, because it is morning somewhere for January 4th, 2024. My name is Bernie Burns. With me right over there, here to apologize for flashing the entire Sugar Bowl home audience. Ashley, how you doing?
Well, you know, feeling so embarrassed.
This is not who I am.
And
We're
also
laughing.
joined by a very surprised cat.
We're laughing because the cat is sleeping on the couch.
He was.
And I think we have proof that now that is an energetic opening to a morning show, because he shot up like a rocket. So
Welcome to the day, Mush.
I have to say, Ashley is going to be a little bit under today because Ashley had a very, very rough night. I should say the baby had a very rough night. And as a result, Ashley was up because she has the magic touch and can calm the baby, and it didn't work. Like I got up and helped, and I couldn't help, and then Ashley it was a rough night. Let's just put it that way.
I'm mainlining my coffee.
Being a mother in a house with especially young kids, like kids under 5, the mom is the center of the whole house. Like everyone who lives in that home, their number one relationship is that person. She is everyone's number one. She's my number one, my primary relationship. She's every one of the kids' primary relationship. I would argue that you're probably your own primary relationship because you're taking care of yourself.
The cat was sleeping on me last night.
Even the cat won't sleep on me. The cat has to sleep on you. So we were at the pub the other day, and we saw this couple with a young kid, probably 3 months old, maybe 4 months old.
Yes, it was baby.
Baby. And baby wasn't really being that bad, but it was kind of just like, and being a little bit uncontrollable. And finally, the dad did the thing that dads do, which is like, here, let me just take the baby. I'm going to go outside with the baby and walk the baby in the stroller. And you just have a second and let me get the baby out of here. And as soon as he walked away, she just put her heads in her hand, looked down at the table, and just had a moment to herself. And both Ashley and I were like, oh, man.
I feel you, girl. I've been there.
Oh, my God.
I've been there. And sometimes, like, just all you need sometimes is that moment. You just need to breathe for a second. But it's, you look at that lady and you're like, I have been where you are. My utmost sympathy. You want me to walk the kid? I'll walk the kid.
Right.
But dad was all over it. It was great. We left and we saw him is just pushing the kid up and down outside on the sidewalk.
It's funny, too, because when we were on the plane with Evie and she was acting up, and we were both just walking her to the back, to the galley, essentially, and just getting her away from the people she was crying next to, try to break up the parts of the plane that she's crying next to.
God, I must have spent hours just in the galley.
Yep, in the corner.
Near the rear toilets, just rocking the baby, going, go to sleep.
And it was so great because every time you did it, they would come up to you and they would say, hey, can I do anything to help? All these mothers who hadn't had a baby for a while, they all got it. They just offered to help you. And me, they would just walk by when they saw me and say, good job, Dad. It's like, you're turning the barrel. No offer to help or anything. Just like, good job, Dad. But I can't imagine, too. Shout out to anybody, and there's so many people in the world doing that alone. How in the hell do you get that done? How do you get it done?
Impossible. It's impossible, and yet so many people do it. I don't understand it.
Doing the
It's a
impossible
superpower.
every day. I used to grow up and I'd watch, sports, and they'd interview these athletes, and they always talk about their mom raising them as a single mom and taking them to football practice. And they buy, they get a contract and they buy their mom a house. And as a kid, I was like, okay, that's cool. These guys are really into their mom. And then once I had kids, I was like, I want to go back in time and buy those ladies a house. How the hell? How the hell does anybody do it by themselves? So shout out to people that are getting that done. You know, it would be a great way for a kid to ensure you could buy you a house is if you train him to be an esports player from the age of like 5 years old. That'd be a great way to do that.
You know, the youngest kid I ever knew who was an esports player, I think he was 6.
6 years old. I think the crazy thing is, what's the oldest esports player you ever knew that was active?
Mid-20s?
Yeah, like 24, 20, maybe 25.
Yeah, it's tough. It's tough that it's like they talk about like the slowdown, and it's like you expect them to be like geriatric, and it's like it's not. It's just you're not 16 on, in the midst of like hormone overload, and
Long night for Ashley.
and sorry, but the youngest kid, it was Little Romeo. He was a Halo player during the MLG.
I remember Little
years.
Romeo.
Yeah, he was a cute kid too. He was good. He was really good.
Well, I tried to look up the oldest esports player, and it says it's a 79-year-old Swedish gamer who plays Counter-Strike. But I'm wondering, like, who's been to Worlds, in League of Legends or something like that.
Yeah, those guys all seem 20s. But there was, well, go ahead.
Well, I was just gonna say, well, maybe I'll talk about this later. But at some point, I would like to talk about esports had a weird year in 2023.
It had a weirdly down year.
I would go so far as to say maybe even call that a crash. Let's off the cuff here, but maybe we'll talk about that one tomorrow.
Well, let's let that rock tumble for a little bit and talk about another gaming accomplishment because Tetris has been beat to submission at long last by a human, not a robot.
What do you mean?
A 13-year-old kid just got to the point in Tetris where Tetris crashes.
Oh, you got like the kill screen on Tetris.
Yeah. So which was thought to be impossible by a human. But he just did it.
Impossible by a human.
It's been done by AI before, but humans, the limitation is the input with fingers and everything. And there's been there's this article from Ars Technica. I'll put it in the link dump because it's really quite fascinating talking about the different sort of techniques that players have developed over the years to try to get blocks to the sides as fast as possible, because once you pass a certain point of the game, like level 29, that's when the game is at its fastest speed. And it's almost impossible to get a block to the side to get it into place.
I've seen them do things like where they put the controller on their lap and hit it with both the motion of moving the hand with the controller and moving the hand that's tapping the controller.
Yeah, so I'm trying to find the part in this article where these special grips are. There's a delayed auto shift. No, that's not it. But anyway, it's in the link dump. And this 13-year-old kid got 1,500 lines in when what was thought to be around the max you could get was about 290.
290 lines in. Now, what is that lines completed?
That's when you get to, that's when you get to the level 29. That's when it gets to that fastest speed. And usually it's going so fast that you can't last long after that. But he must have been in a zone.
So now, what are we talking about? Do you know here? Are we talking about Tetris on the Game Boy?
This is Tetris on NES.
On NES
specifically.
Okay. Because
Yeah.
there's been a billion versions of Tetris.
I wonder if that comes up in the best selling games lists because there have been so many Tetrises.
Yes, it's actually a weird one. I was going to mention that because we were talking about Minecraft earlier this week being the best selling game of all time. Tetris is also on that list, but it's on that list in a few different places because it's the different versions of the game, which apparently are somehow different titles entirely. For instance, the Game Boy version of Tetris, which is the one that kind of made it explode all over the world, that is different than the EA-owned version of Tetris. And I'm not really sure why. Oddly enough, it might tie into other things we've talked about this week, like copyright.
Okay, I guess that kind of makes sense.
There's a whole, I didn't see it.
There's a documentary or something about Tetris too, right? About how it got out of Russia.
I think it's a social network style movie where it's it is a documentary, but it's not.
It's a drama-cumentary. I'm sure there's a name for it.
It's a true crime podcast. Let me see. Tetris, I think it's on HBO.
Anyway, shout out to this kid, Blue Shooty. It's super insanely impressive. He's going to get all the babes.
Tetris, you're going to like the classification of the genre. Tetris is a 2023 biographical thriller film based on the true events around the race to license and patent the video game Tetris from Russia in the late 1980s during the Cold War.
There's someone impressive in that, I think. Who's in that?
Taron Egerton. He's
I
played
like
Elton
that guy.
John, and then you like him from Kingsman.
I like him a lot in Kingsman. He's great. Those are great movies. Even the ones, not, okay, I'm going to make a qualification here. No.
Yeah.
Not the prequel. I did not enjoy the prequel at all. I fell out of that at the weird
Rasputin. That's where you fell
fight.
out.
I was like, I don't know what's happening here, but I didn't finish that movie. And I love the other Kingsman movies. Even the second one, which was not as good as the first one. And I liked the third one because I thought there was a President's Statesman. The American versions were so funny. They're like, here's my lasso.
It's Pedro Pascal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's one of the first things we saw him in that wasn't Game of Thrones, I think.
Yeah, he goes way back. Apparently, he was on Buffy the Vampire Slayer.
Really?
Yeah, he's been working for a really long time. So I pulled up, this is from Wikipedia, top selling video games of all time. Minecraft at 300 million copies, Grand Theft Auto 5 at 190 million, Tetris, parentheses, EA, 100 million copies, Wii Sports, PUBG, Mario Kart, Super Mario Brothers, Red Dead Redemption, Overwatch, Witcher 3, Tetris 1989, 48 million copies.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, which wouldn't move Tetris up in the rankings to combine those, but it's interesting that it's the one on there that's multiple versions of itself. Unless you count, every Nintendo game, which is kind of like
Hey, stop right there.
I got
You
no problems
stop
with it.
right there.
I have no problems with it, but Nintendo makes the same games over and over again, and we don't care. I'm not making fun of them. They do it, and everybody loves it, and I'm one of those people.
Sort of, but I really hate Nintendo. If you're listening, I'm sure you are. We are, a trending podcast. Could you please consider maybe getting Double Dash on the Switch? Thank you.
Yes, there's all this talk about the Switch 2 this week, and I don't know if
Lots of rumors saying
Nintendo
that-
made an official statement or something.
I don't think so, but everyone's expecting an announcement imminently that it's going to release this year, and then it's going to be a Switch 2.
There was some kind of verbiage, though, of tempering where it was said that it's going to be more of an iteration rather than a revolution.
Yeah, but I think that's all industry analysts, so it's all still guesswork.
But that's shocking. Nintendo would make an iteration and not a revolution. I mean, when Nintendo makes revolutions, they're enormous, and their iterations are tremendous as well. So they hit it all the time,
Except for the Wii U. But the other thing I want to talk about today is, did you see an email we got from Amazon?
No, what was the email we got from Amazon?
They are adding ads now to their streaming video.
You had me. They had me in the first half there. I thought they were adding ads to our podcast. I'd say, all right, let's do it.
All right, only for you, Amazon.
So Amazon is putting ads on what?
So this is Prime Video. So think like The Boys, think Reacher, which is streaming now, the second season of Reacher with our friend Alan Richardson. He is built like a truck in this series. And
he was big when we worked with him, and now he's just massive. I wonder if he's tired of hearing about how big he is, though, too.
Possibly, but considering how hard he has to work to get there, maybe not.
Probably so.
Yeah. But they're
He
adding...
should be in Minecraft.
ads are coming onto the streaming service. It looks like the 29th of January in North America, internationally on February 5th. Or you can pay an additional $3 a month to stay ad-free.
Okay. So just more money.
Yeah, seems like it's similar to what Netflix did. Netflix added an ad-supported tier and then just made that the cheaper one, and then made the other one a little bit more expensive, although they've had a couple price hikes since they introduced that, I think. So,
have they made any speculation as to how much money this is going to generate?
There was a third-party article. This is from Bloomberg, saying that it's expected to generate an extra $5 billion in revenue. So maybe they can make up for the 50-some-odd million that stupid Citadel show.
I don't even know what you're talking about. What is Citadel?
So it has Rob Stark and one of the Jonas Brothers.
It has Rob Stark, actually the fictional character, or
No,
the actor?
It has the actor.
Okay.
And one of the Jonas Brothers' wives, who's
I would love if this was the poster starring Rob Stark and one of the Jonas Brothers' wives.
I don't know anybody's names.
Isn't one of the Jonas Brothers' wives?
Priyanka, yes, one of the
It's
Jonas
Sansa
Brothers'
Stark.
wives they're getting divorced, and it's messy.
All right.
Anyway, and they're like spies, and they're like enemies, but maybe they're not. But he doesn't remember anything, and but then he's going to get his memories back, and who's betraying who, and who's the real mole, and it's exactly what we expect that kind of show to be, but where with the Night Agent, the one on Netflix anyway, that's like the top watched show for the year on Netflix. That one, it hit all the marks, but I really enjoyed it. And Citadel, not as much.
How do you feel about it, though? Will it change your viewing habits on Amazon Prime?
No, not really. The one that drives my viewing habits on Amazon Prime, hands down, is The Boys.
I'm trying to think what other Amazon shows I watched. You're a big fantasy fan. Did you watch the Tolkien series?
No.
No, we didn't even watch that at all.
No.
Yeah.
Is Amazon Prime where the Wheel of Time is? Because I did watch that. And Mrs. Maisel. We really loved Mrs. Maisel.
We watched, we loved Mrs. Maisel.
But that's over
We
now.
watched Bluey. too. It's where we get Bluey here.
Yes, but only because we buy it.
Right, because that's where we had trouble getting Bluey over here in the UK, and everyone was recommending that if we're going to have our kiddo watch anything, they should watch Bluey. And they were right. It's a great show.
It's a great show.
Yeah, Bluey's a great show. I still don't understand, though, why kids' shows change over time. That still doesn't make any sense to me. Like, all the kids, different generations, like the older boys watch Blue's Clues. Some kids are watching Cocomelon. Some kids all watch SpongeBob. And it's weird how the kids' shows change over time. Kids have never seen any media. Why wouldn't they just watch the same things again and again? But I guess they just do.
Bro, we got toys to sell.
Mr. Rogers, you know? Sesame Street.
Toys to sell. Let's go.
Yeah. Did you hear that they had to go back, though, and get rid of Snuffleupagus from Sesame Street?
No, why?
Because Snuffleupagus, who was Big Bird's friend that no one else could see, they thought it would give kids anxiety that adults wouldn't believe them when they told them about something or someone.
Wow,
Yeah.
that's crazy.
Yeah.
Did they get rid of him, or did they make him visible to other people?
I think they made him visible to other people. Yeah, they got rid of that characteristic of him.
I was going to say, that's imaginary friend erasure, and I won't stand for it.
Listen, I'm going to type in here for the first time in my life, Snuffleupagus. I don't know how to spell that.
Good luck spelling that. When I was little, I watched My Little Pony, the OG.
Upagus. Snuffleupagus.
Up, like UP?
UP. Snuffleupagus. That's his name. I thought it was Snuffagus. For many years, only Big Bird would see Snuffy, because he would always leave when Big Bird wanted to get others, leading everyone to believe that Snuffy was simply an imaginary friend. But after Sesame Street presents Follow That Bird, Big Bird finally succeeded in revealing Snuffy to his friends on Sesame Street. Yeah.
The Sesame Street lore runs deep.
I don't know. They don't have it here. This is from Wikipedia again, so who knows? But, you know, I always heard that was the reason why they made Snuffy be able to be seen.
I mean, it's a really sweet reason. Priyanka Chopra, that's the name of the Jonas wife that's in Citadel. She is actually, it's actually reductive to call her a Jonas wife. I apologize. She's actually a very well-known Indian actress.
Well, you can reference someone if you don't know.
Look, I don't know anyone's names. I'll also be like, you know the guy with the nose that was in the movie with like the really hot lady who...
You should make trailers, I think, for shows because starring Rob Stark and the lady who's married to the Jonas brother who isn't Rob Stark's sister. By the way, she's got a great career on her own. Sorry about that. All right, well, that'll do it for us today. Ash, I had an idea maybe for a Friday segment. People seem to really like when you were throwing the headlines at me yesterday and just having that quick little roundup. So what if on Friday we try to go back and we'll listen to all the podcasts from the week, find all the places, the things we didn't talk about, like my nursing story that I didn't talk about yesterday.
I'm dying to hear it.
Yeah, and then we'll pick those up at the end of the week so we can finish those thoughts off. How about that?
That sounds great.
All right, we'll be here tomorrow to talk about that. Hopefully you will be as well. Bye, everybody.